Okay, in this video I just want to go over a few of the things that you ought to have when you summarize a quantitative variable for any PowerPoint or paper or presentation that you might have. So I'm just going to do this in the context of a problem where we have 20 movies made in 2012, and then we have the length of each of those movies in minutes. So the first thing we need to do is get a histogram, and here I have one that I've generated with R, and I'd like for you to notice on this that it's close to a bell curve, except for at least one unusually high value. You can see that over at the right here. Here's a density plot, and again, you need to use statistical software for this. I used R. This is a little bit better, I think, than histograms in that you can see things that might be hidden in histograms because of the way you set the widths of your class intervals. Anyway, here you can see there are two hills in the upper tail of otherwise normally shaped or bell-shaped distribution, whereas you really could only see one in the other. Then I went ahead and did a box plot here, and you can look at, in this one, that you have one outlier and then one value up here that's an extreme value. And then you have the limit for lower extremes, but there's nothing down there. Another thing I added on this box plot is it's called a notch, and that is a 95% confidence interval for the population median. And we'll be talking about confidence intervals and that kind of thing later in the course. Although we won't specifically compute this one for medians, we will compute confidence intervals for means. That is, I think, a nice feature to have on a box plot. You can see here that most of our movies are between, it looks like, around 80 or so and about maybe 2 hours, about 120 minutes. But we have one that's over 150 minutes, that's over 2.5 hours, and then one that's over 180 minutes, that is over 3 hours. We could call that movie epic. And then finally here, just some numerical summaries that you ought to routinely calculate and report in some way with your analyses. The sample size, the sample mean, the sample standard deviation, and then the 5-number summary. That doesn't always get reported, but I think it's pretty nice to report it, especially when you have data that might be skewed or have outliers or extreme values. So in this one, the length of our movies range from 79 to 186 minutes. And you can note up here that the median, 112, is a little bit lower than the mean, or that the mean is somewhat higher than the median, however you want to look at that. And that's because we have a couple of outliers, well, one outlier and one extreme value that pulled the mean up, but did not pull the median up.